Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel where we review anything and everything. And today we're getting into making alterations to this Lego set 75454. This is the Imperial Remnant AT-AT. And so I already did a review on it. You guys could check on the channel for that review, but I had mentioned in that review that I wasn't too much a fan of this setup where you have this thing inside there because for those who missed out on the 2020 AT-AT set, that had more of an interior where you would be more of a transport type of setup or traditional setup for the AT-AT. And for those who missed out on that, kind of want that feel, you know, for those who are feeling like that, and I'm one of them who's feeling like that. I want it to be a little bit more in that realm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change a few things, and I have mentioned about a few things in a previous video, but I'm going to execute them here in front of you guys so that way you guys can see what I'm doing and see that it's not that over the top and it's something that you guys can achieve. So the first thing I want to show is I had mentioned before about putting a 10 by 4 brick in the middle to replace that orange part. Now I jazzed mine up a little bit because this is kind of, you know, I just wanted to kind of give it a little bit of extra, you know, detail. But if you only have just that, you could use this, or if you just have four separate plates of 4x2s. So one of these, one of these, one of these, and then one of these. You can just all put them side by side and you'll get the same effect. So I know that's more common of a piece than having a whole thing like this, but nonetheless, they work the same. The other thing that I'm gonna add, which I had showed on the video prior, I think that, I know I showed it somewhere in the video. I can't remember exactly where, or if this was, I think when I did the review of the short actually. So I'm sorry about that. It's not in my regular review. But these right here, now I add that to jazz it up. This is the only color I have. If I had like gray, a light gray or dark gray, that would be better, but I don't. So this is gonna go here. This is a full 12 studs in length. So I'm gonna put one 6x1 here and one over here. I'm gonna have another one on like this, and then also on the other side. Like I said, if I had gray for these, I would use that. But nonetheless, you're gonna see how this all ties in together while adding a couple of sand blue seats, which I had showed a video. I showed those on the original review at some point already. If I'm not mistaken, it was the original review, or was it a separate video where I just showed some upgrades that can be done? I can't remember, but I listed all these same things in that video. The only difference was, like I said, right now I'm jazzing them up and I am going to apply everything. And including also, there's an area in the back where you have a weapons section. If you guys could see that. You might not be able to see it all that well. It's up at the top of the frame up there. I don't want to reposition my camera right now, but you can see it up there. And I'm going to take that out. And what I'm going to do is put in your traditional little bed setup. So we're going to jump into that. Matter of fact, I just realized something too. If I wanted to, and if I didn't want to use extra pieces, I could actually use those for the bed setup maybe. We'll see. I think I'm going to use these ones for the traditional look for now. These, I say traditional look because this is what people use for the Millennium Falcon. So let's jump into it. So first things first is we're going to clear off all this out of the way. Okay, here we go. And I can honestly tell you that was so hard to do because it's just the positioning, and if everything's flopping all around, it's kind of hard. So what we're gonna do now is this. I'm gonna drop this piece in. Like I said, my piece is jazzed up, but if you just got simply just black or even the dark gray, that works just as fine. Now I may end up taking off these brown pieces later on down the line, but I'm not gonna do that in this build right here because I don't know what I would do with that section right now. So I'm not 100%, but I could end up using these little spots for the gun holder, the blasters right there, because I'm going to be taking that spot where I have the blasters out of the picture. We're gonna stay zoomed in like this because it makes it a little easier for you guys to see everything. And I'm gonna put this here. And let me get the other two. Like I said, if I had better colors, I would, but it's fine because this is gonna have seats breaking up most of it, so it's not that big of a deal. And let me try to see if I can reach behind here and slide this in there, and then do the same on this side here. So you can see right now I'm not using a lot of crazy complicated pieces, and like I said, you could use alternate pieces to kind of get the same effect. What we're going to do, just to kind of close this out really quick, is before I even start, I'm going to put chairs in there. Before I even get to that, let me take these blasters out, and then I'm going to remove that area there so I can get started on that, because once I put the chairs in here, I'm going to have trouble reaching from this angle. So let's get these blasters out of there. Now, what you could also do in that section there, if you wanted to make storage, is if you had crates, you could put crates back there, take the tops off, drop the blasters in it. You could fit literally 3 crates right next to each other, your standard crates. I wish I had a couple of them on hand, but I have them right now in ships. But you could put 3 of them next to each other right there, and then drop all the guns in. And that is actually a great way to hold, but actually, no, you can't, because this is still going to go in there, but the bed shouldn't affect this. This shouldn't be affected by the bed. So let's see. So I just ended up having to pull the side panel off because I was having so much trouble reaching this here. So there you go. And this should now be easier now that that's removed. I hope so. Or do I got to remove this side? I'm going to remove this side as well, just to make it a little easier on myself. There we go. And hopefully putting that back in is not an issue as well. So this right here was a super pain to get these off and then back. Well, not getting them off, but getting them back on and whatnot. But there was the bed setup. Now, I would have done another layer of a 2x6 plate to put it on, but I didn't want it to come in conflict with this leaning over and then the speeder biker not fitting on there if somebody was laying down. So let's see how that fits if somebody's laying down there, and see, does that have an issue with the speeder bike? One thing I'm a really big fan of is always having like a spot for people to kind of sleep. There you go. And that fits without a problem. And there you go. So now you get the little bed area. So if they're on a long trek, there is a spot where somebody can sleep. So I'm going to remove him from that now, but nonetheless, that is an option. And you should be able to get them from this side here without a problem with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the speeder bike out of it for a moment now while we continue the rest of the build. So I'm going to close off the back. So now we got a little resting spot. Now in the catalog page on Lego's website, these right here, let me zoom in again. These right here, this and that, are seats, but we want real seats. So we're gonna throw these in. And I've got 6 of these here. And now that makes it very much comparable to the other. Well, hold on, there's one thing I'm gonna do first, and I hope that it doesn't get in the way of anything. That is, I want to put this here. Let me see, I believe that should be correct. All right, I was just checking to make sure that its placement is in the same spot it would be normally, and it is. So if the chair fits, then that's good. The reason why is because I want also the option if I want to remove the chairs and it fits without a problem. I wasn't sure if the studs on the back would interfere with the seating of the chair, because you guys know that chairs curve slightly back, but it's not a problem. The reason why I wanted to leave that there is because if for whatever reason, I don't like the coloring. I wish I had a different color than that. I wish I had something like black, which I might be able to change it at a later point in time if I find, like, say, a black one of those. But essentially, you know, right now I get to use the same part. But essentially, the reason why I want to do that is if anything, think of it like this. They go back to base. They want to change the layout. They'll remove the chairs. And then now I can put the INT right back into the same spot without a problem. So that is the reason why I want to have that piece there. This is going to come down here, and my last two chairs, and there we go. Now, I showed in the previous video, on my review video, the ending part, that a person, if they wanted to, could make an upstairs floor as well, which, if I'm not mistaken, I know the UCS version has that, and I don't remember if the 2020 version had that. You can do it here, but to be honest with you, I didn't really like the way, I didn't have the right pieces to make it work. You'd have to make pillars come up from here and here, and then you'd be able to have it going across here. But I showed in the video, in the review video, at the ending of the review video, I wasn't really a fan of the way that was fitting. It made it a little bit tight. So this at least gives you this ability for troop transport without it being too clustered. Now, if you want, you could just do these seats on one side and the other side be more of just a, you know, whether you want to put like a little computer or something like that, you can kind of play around with things and do stuff like that. So for example, if I wanted to, if I didn't have these chairs here, let me zoom in. If I didn't have these chairs here, I could put a 2x1 brick right here and then put like a computer panel on it. And then now it kind of, you know, just acts as a little kind of office area. If you want, you'll have 3 seats in the back. And then these areas right here could all be kind of just standing area. And then, like I said, a little computer on this side, maybe a little computer on that side, if you want to do that. Otherwise, this is kind of like a simple way of just, if you want all seats, you can go all seats. So there's a couple of different ways to kind of customize things, but this was to get that going there. That's what I was aiming for here. So I can take these guys and sit them down. Now, if you do sit them side by side, you're gonna have to just have the guy in the middle with his hands up so they don't hit, but nonetheless, you see that it works. And obviously you can sit the 3 on the other side. You got the 2 inside the front seats. And then one last thing, if I do want to bring, we're gonna back this up just a little bit. If I do want to bring the INT along, I am going to take this here and I'm going to mount this. I could do it like that side there. Just one of those kind of, I'm sorry if I didn't show you guys the piece, that piece right there. And then I'm just going to drop this on here like that. Now, it makes it easy to remove, and yes, it's vulnerable to attack completely. But at the same time, you know, if you don't mind the look, it allows me to kind of have it go along with it. It's not protected, but nonetheless, you know, it can be transported on the top if I need to kind of do both troop transport and that. But like I said, at any given whim, I could just open this up, pull the seats out, and I could drop that right inside there if I need to. And that wouldn't be a problem because the height of that has enough clearance. This whole area has enough clearance to where you can, even though it's elevated by about 1 stud taller, it's not a problem to put it in there like that. So yes, so that is my cargo mod, if you want to call it that, you know, made for the troops to be able to, like I said before, not only have places to sit, but also a functional bed in the back for one person to be able to go and get some rest whenever they happen to need it. Anyway, you guys, let me know your thoughts down below. And as always, like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.